Action. Boys.
My name is Caitlin, and today I will be performing Should John Scopes Have Been Questioned? Oh, hello there. My name is Harriet Shelton. I'm 29 years old, living happily with a husband, 4 children, and a beautiful house in the country. It's 1940, and the teaching of evolution has been officially outlawed in the state of Tennessee, but it wasn't always like that. Back in 1925, I was John Scopes' high school student. John Scopes was a teacher at the Ray County Central High School. He taught evolution, a theory created by Charles Darwin that states humans came from apes. The idea of evolution generally started when Charles Darwin's book came out. That was the writing that introduced the theory to most people. Darwin's book, Origin of the Species, was his way of telling the world his theory. But the thing is, the book wasn't published until 20 years after it was written. It is said that he didn't want to publish it because he was scared of what priests and religious leaders would think. But perhaps he didn't publish it right away because he truly knew it was flawed. His religious belief was questioned by John Fordyce in a letter sent. Here's a quote from the letter Charles Darwin wrote replying to John. In my most extreme fluctuations, I have never been an atheist in the sense of denying the existence of a God. I think that generally, and more so as I grow older, but not always, that an agnostic would be the most correct description of my state of mind. The definition of agnostic is someone who claims neither faith nor disbelief in God. In other words, Charles Darwin is not a non-believer. Nevertheless, John Scopes decided that it was important enough to teach. He thought it was so important that he would break the law to teach it. He was put on trial, and it started July 10th and ended July 21st. This happened just 5 months after the Butler Act, which officially made the teaching of evolution illegal in the state of Tennessee. Now, why would he go this far just to teach children evolution? Perhaps he didn't take it very seriously. Obviously, the court didn't either, as he was only fined $100. But why did the court go so easy on him? Today, you can get fined up to $600 for teaching evolution. It couldn't possibly be that the court agreed with his decision of teaching evolution. In fact, the court opened in a rather long prayer. One theory is that none of his students questioned him, making it more acceptable for him to teach the controversial subject. I'm sure that if the parents of some of the students were unhappy with his teachings, they wouldn't have hesitated to say so. But there's no proof of any students or parents questioning him. So what could it be? Perhaps we will never know, but in my opinion, he should have been questioned. Oh, hey there. I've also heard about the Scopes trials, and someone asked me to put a little presentation together on evolution. John Scopes should have been questioned on his teaching in 1925? Yes. 97 years later, the evolution versus creation debate continues. Lots of people claim there's been some evidence of evolution. My name is Georgia Purdom, and I'm a creation scientist. As a former biology professor, I have the experience to discuss this subject. One of the greatest debates in history is whether or not Adam and Eve were real. Many scientists think that genetics disprove the existence of Adam and Eve, especially that they were created by God. I believe that God created Adam and Eve, and all humans have descended from them, as described in the book of Genesis. I've done my research and boiled all of the evidence down to a small list of things that would most likely be considered from an evolutionist point of view. Let me get my copy. Here it is. Genesis 1:27 says, God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female, he created them. This verse clearly states 3 times that God created humans. Supporting this verse is Genesis 1:26, which reads, And God said, Let us make man in our own image, after our own likeness, and let them have domination over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. This verse suggests that humans are made to be in control of animals. They didn't come from them. You may think that using the Bible as real evidence is tremendously biased. But studies show that the Bible is true. If you know the Bible, you'll know that it has many prophecies in it, most of which have been fulfilled. Jesus predicted where he would die, how he would die, and when he would come back to life years before it happened. But many people doubt that it did happen. I can't use the Bible to prove the Bible, but I can prove it with scientific evidence. After researching, I found that people have discovered ruins from real events in the Bible, including Jesus' grave and numerous battle sites. Scholars have examined the Bible and added up the years and time periods of the generations listed in the scripture, and it all adds up, which helps prove it to be true. Now back to the topic of evolution. One supposed evidence of evolution is human DNA versus apes' DNA. Modern evolutionists say that 94% of human DNA is shared with apes. But do you want to know the secret? This 94% is based upon our similarities and doesn't include at all our differences. Another thing that many people use as evidence of evolution is species from the same family. Many evolutionists think that animals from the same family must originate from a common ancestor, including Charles Darwin. But he wasn't even a real scientist. He didn't have a degree, nor did he do much research on his study. Perhaps his most memorable analysis was the investigation that he did on finches. What he did was look at some birds in the same family and assume that their beaks being similar could only be the result of a common ancestor. That seems a bit biased if you ask me. Look at this. It's a computer. And here's a phone. An evolutionist might think that this phone evolved from this computer, but they would be wrong. People liked the design of the computer, so they improved it and made something similar. Thank you. That about wraps up my collection of evidence. In conclusion, there is lots of evidence of God, that he created people and the entire universe and everything in it, to be precise. Historic evidence, scientific evidence, and scriptural evidence. So, do you believe?
Good.